I didn't say nothing about God. I said no. Meaning,
Welcome, family. Welcome to my channel, my show. And tonight we're going to be discussing um, dark energy, our dark energy. And just how that comes about, the energy and our abilities, our special ability to be to have the capability of being telepathic, clairvoyant, what they call it?
Clairvoyance, clairsentience.
Yeah, clairsentience, telepathic, empathic.
Empathic, yeah.
Yeah, etc. etc. Our higher powers that we have, of course, having the soul within us. And I got Eternal here and DOD here a little bit to help explain or help to give an understanding or understanding of exactly how that comes about for us and how that's possible for us as Black people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who want to go first?
Yeah. So you want to say anything first, DOD?
I want to thank you again for having me on the show. Good to see Eternal again. And I'll just fall back and listen to you guys. And then if I have any questions, I'll go ahead and ask.
Yeah, that'll help. Any questions? Okay. Eternal.
Giving thanks, honor to the present, to the past, to our present and past in thought. Because, of course, present and past really doesn't have an existence without actually being what we call future. So what is future? Our present. You're a gift to things. So just like breath, how do we connect to it? So if you look at the heart has to have more what we call compassion versus just passion. And because certain people came into existence, they had a baby, but the baby wasn't with oxytocin. We call it oxytocin. And oxytocin helps give what you were speaking on, the telepathic ability.
Right.
Some of us aren't aware of how to use it. And then some of us are actually opened up another channel versus that oxytocin. We had to go in another route because the body actually has all these senses. So when one sense is impaired, another one increases. So it's basically saying eventually you can have an oxytocin. It just be a different way of your telepathic look on how you see things. Clairvoyant, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. So when you're looking at what's past, present, near future, how are you matching it? And is it past your feelings? Because if you look at empathy, empathy comes past the feelings. Now, of course, people think, why does feelings have to be first? Well, feelings happen to be how your senses are connected. And it'll be through your emotion of how you feel it. But in order for you to feel it, it has to be reversed. Some of us are emotionally driven. Some of us have to feel what the emotion is in order to feel the feeling. So that's why the emotion, it can alter your feelings, just like feelings can alter your emotions. That's why it's important to, like you're speaking on, learning how to be in the nowness, in the state of nowness. Because if you don't have a holy breath, it's like saying you have a God, but not knowing how the God is being used inside of you.
Well, if that's your thinking, then you're never going to see the success when you get it.
I feel like that's my explanation. Anybody else?
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And I think of being empathic or clairvoyant or knowing something or feeling. It's all in my sensory. It's all I feel it in people in myself.
Yeah. People have more compassion.
It's a frequency for me. Like I sense certain energies I'm around, whether I really seriously had a lot of issues.
Well, if you're not taking into account their entire journey, of course you know.
Issues come when you are really in tune with yourself and what's going on, and how things are affecting you. So when they're affecting you, and you are not unaware of it, that's when issues come. But if it's affecting you and you're aware of them, just your psychic, they call it psychic abilities, but it's more like your intuition, your capability to see through something.
Yeah, you're physical with your psychic.
That's pretty much how I see it work.
Right.
So,
you know, there's further studies, if one is to learn the breath, how to breathe, and how to work through pranayama, breathing, fire breathing. There's different models that we call it. The average person should have at least one massage at least every 4 weeks. Our body end up having stress in it. So even as an empath or those who, channel a lot of energy, you get energy trapped in the body. So now it's a point of how do you release your energy as well? The worst thing for a person to be is an empath that's on a mission to destroy.
Exactly.
So now it's the idea of how to use this mosquito bite and use it for growth as you bite versus you take blood.
Right. And one might say, how do you know this? You know by taking what you don't know, you take what you do know, which is
what you don't know.
And apply it to what you don't know, and then that's how you know.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, or I did not know that I was in a system that was keeping me busy, keeping my mind locked and busy, working, pursuing a career. You see,
you know something getting on your nerves and you want to quit or you want to switch another job,
Right. Yeah.
But then you don't know. I don't know if I quit, I'm going to get another job.
And so a lot of people would say that. Hold on, Eternal. Y'all, hold on, DOD.
What did I miss, brother? The StreamYard kicked me out.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
You did me earlier. No, I was just basically saying if you are a mosquito, you want to be one to bite for growth versus one to bite to take the blood. Our ways of being an empath or having sympathy for another, you can overwhelm yourself. So it's the idea of not to have that stress in you and be stuck with it. You can get a massage once every 4 weeks, but the average don't get once in their lifetime. So it's the idea of not carrying trigger points in you.
Yeah, and like I said, it's almost as if my mind at times get attacked. Like, it's like my mind has been attacked.
Well, think about it. If your mind is being attacked, it's because your physical and your spiritual is being also out of place. So we call it balance.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. That's how we know, you know.
Yeah.
We know, like
Damn, it's almost an hour late.
about the eating. I know 5 years ago, I was really, really concerned because I knew that through the food that we eat, they were going to control us. And when something like this happens, coronavirus happens, everybody's going to want to go for the food. And what I noticed is when I go into the grocery stores, it's a shortage of meats, chicken and beef. I don't do beef. I don't do pork. I don't do I've weaned myself off the meats and stuff. You have plenty of vegetables and fruits in there. So,
that's what I'm eating right now.
yeah, people need, you know, if something was emergency situation was going to happen in this society, the meat will hurt people, a lot of people, because for one thing, some of us can't kill our own animals because it's not our nature to kill animals.
Right.
I used to have people make me feel bad because they'd be like, well, can you hunt? Can you do this? If you don't do those things and it's not your nature to do those things, it's quite okay. It's nothing wrong with that. It's just not your nature to go out and deal with bloods and guts, But I'm more of a planter. I like to garden, and I'm trying to pursue a garden this year. It's very critical and very important. I think we need to be less dependent. And but I felt something in me kept telling me, prepare yourself to get off these meats. Because I started telling other people about the meats and how controlled. Pretty soon they're going to be controlling us through the food. If you can't get the meat, you're going to be suffering.
Yeah, I'm in Maryland right now.
So we had to, part of my, they call it psychic ability, but it was all intuition. I knew there was something going to happen, and it kept eating away at me. And I was like, how can I do this? How can I express this? So I did it on my Facebook. I expressed it and started talking to people about Dr. Sebi and all that stuff. And, people don't listen, but some people do,
They're listening right now.
Yeah, it's always somebody listening.
Mm-hmm.
It may be one person, that'll hear what you're saying about changing our eating. And you know what? The Black community we have come a long way in our eating habits. They said that we have turned it around. I forgot there was something that came out that we have our hearts are, we have less heart issues, a lot less. We've been having less health issues because our eating habits have changed. I've been hearing positive things about the Black community, and I don't think people talk about that enough, about how a lot of us are changing our eatings. But we are, not only us, but we have changed around. Now they're trying to sell more green foods in the stores. Mm-hmm. I've noticed it's a lot more plant-based foods in the stores, Mm-hmm. And I think that's, we just have to remember that times like this, meat is going to be short. Meat is always what will go short. And that also starving and hunger and poverty is a state of mind. It's a state. What do we say, Eternal? It's a state that they put you in. And you put the mind in. It's a state that they put the mind in.
That's right.
Have you put your own mind in, basically?
And you said about the food being a point of now you're going to have to now discipline yourself. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have to stop eating the cheesy poops that South Park had at one point. and we were looking at it as a cartoon and humor, because now we have black humor and Little White Lie. So when we're looking at these things, it's not people of color. It's a supremacy over inferiority. And the more we can master what that is, the more we won't have to be like the master guy be on top of us. Because we don't know what the master is unless you start mastering yourself. And you could be a slave to yourself, or you could be a master. We still have choices. So it's just a matter of what you're doing as far as how you discipline yourself. Do you go through the 7 days not eating 7 types of meals that connect to your palate? Or do you use the 7 senses in one meal and connect to your palate? There's so many things that can open your mind or our mind as a root to begin healing. If we don't pick up a drum, if we don't pick up a guitar, if we don't pick up any instrument, these are the reasons why we're still where we're at. The artisans of the past is still here in our bodies. And because we're not using that DNA code, there's so much that hasn't been unraveled yet. We make you sick, but we could make music, not just make you sick, And this coronavirus, one thing is bad, another thing is good. The bad thing is existing. The good thing is telling y'all, get your act right. Food is one major. I had high blood pressure at 16. I was even joked by my family to say, oh, that's right, you can't eat this, you can't eat that. But guess what? I'm glad I don't eat pork now. I'm glad I don't eat this beef, and I'm glad I don't eat the chicken. I'm glad I don't eat any of the animal products, because now I feel that if it was going to be about me learning about the oxytocin and the telepath connection, clairvoyance, clairsentience, if I was going to be able to get to these levels, I had to also be in a training method to get this acceptance of what these methods are too. And I'm not even going to say I'm one of these people. I'm just saying that we as a people have to start disciplining ourselves, so that if there was even an awakening of knowing what this is that we're talking about, it won't sound like blah, 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 blah. I don't hear what he's saying, because we do get into a point where some of us lose communication while we're listening. That's only because our mind is going all over the place. We have a point of what we call ADHD. And because of that, I'm not saying that it actually exists. I'm saying that someone created it to exist, just like the coronavirus. If you have ADHD, it's only because we've ate white sugar. Here we go with white. Being pure, not being pure, right? So we're eating the white sugar that's so rapid and so fast that our mind can't catch everything as I'm saying it out loud. There is a phonetic way we're speaking. Some of us don't use the phonetic way. We just speak without thinking about the phonetic tone or the pictogrammic thought that people start forming when you start saying things that make a clear sound or a resonating ability of remembrance and imagination. That's where the creative mind has to come out of, and because we have a left hand and a right hand, the world was taught mostly the right hand. And it makes it hard for even a left hand to even accept his left hand. We end up using our right hand because we see how society uses their right hand. So with that being the case, our brain also starts to become that way as well. So this is why when you were saying about the attack, it's good to now get into an exercise. Start exercising the non-attack. The best fight is the non-fight. Yet at the same time, I'm not saying that you don't put up a fight or you don't put up against whatever's going against you. I'm saying you have to know your capability of what you're up against. You can't fight fire with fire, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to make more fire. So you would probably need water. You know what I mean? If you had air, you would probably make it bigger. If it had earth, maybe you could put dirt on it, There's ways that we have to look at it more than one element versus just staying in that one element. We got 4 elements that we come out of our fear. And that's fire, earth, air, and rain. Once you know those four, it's the basic four pillars of how life is. NEWS. It's news. But it's from its north, east, its west, and its south. This is why it's four. But that represents four and actually another four. So this is why 8 is a point of either you eat it, right, as a 7, and now you ate it. That's why 6 is scared of 7. So I'm going to ask you, why is 6 scared of 7? That's a question. Why is 6 scared of 7? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hold on.
Why is 6 scared of 7? Did you hear my question?
Yeah, you said why is 6 scared of 7?
Yeah.
Because it's an introverted 6.
Yeah, and 6 is an inverted number from 9, which is the opposite of its imagination.
Oh, okay.
So if it can't imagine, it's going to look at that other being even more deadlier than itself. Yeah, at the same time, 6, 7 is the next number, right? So 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9. So it's the idea of it sounds like a word, but it's also a verb sound. So not only is a number, it's an action. So when we ate stuff, we can relate to stuff, or we might be late to stuff. The whole idea is the ATE is also EIGHT. This is where gate, GATE, from that 8 is also in there. This is why we have to be more in tune with how we're speaking words and how does it really relate to our mind as we're saying them, as it's being played out as a number, a frequency. Is it really what we want to say, have to say, should be saying, would be saying, could be saying, if you knew what you were saying? So that's all. It's more important to know your ledge, so it won't just be no ledge to your thoughts. And your actions.
So, let me see. So basically, our mind, body, and soul all have to be in balance.
Mm-hmm.
All
right, when's the last time you chanted? When the last time you called out your name and did it like you singing a song?
You said what?
When the last time you sang your name and sing it like you were singing a song?
I don't know. Let me see.
This is why attacks can be easy.
Mm-hmm.
We don't put up a self-defense mechanism. Did you know your body reacts to you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I control that. I know that when I go to the doctor and they stick a needle in my arm, I can command my veins to do whatever. I control them. They roll, they move around depending on my reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally.
Depending on your reaction, will you have...
If I really want the blood to come out, I can have it do what it needs to do to get, so the needle can get to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all up to us, I think, most things like that. You see what I'm saying?
That's how it explains how the God inside is also the God outside.
Mm-hmm.
And this will also explain how some of us are running around looking for other stuff when you got everything inside. Now, how do we fast, or how do we discipline that side? You know what I mean? How you become a disciplinary being through the moon cycles. Sometimes when the moon get full, people have a tendency to do a lot of Ashun moves. And Ashun meaning doing their desires. Ashun brings you like your greatest desires. However, being that she's connected to the water, are you ready for overflow? Will you have an extra cup? Sometimes it's overbearing. It overflows like crying. So now, how much is our emotion also tied to whatever the material is as it's mattering? So to be more in tune with oneself is just basically say, I need to ground myself a little bit more. Take my shoes off, put my feet on the earth. I just recommend once to 65, of course, because anything under, how your feet feeling really cold. So being more in tune with your body, you know?
Okay. So when I feel the heat of the sun, it's a perfect time for me to be barefooted and okay. Not when the sun is when the ground is cold.
Okay. Not when the ground is cold, right? 50 and under, or 65 and up. 65 and up. 65, 6 and 5 represent 11. So Aquarius, as our Aquarius energy, our technology from the universe, why is 11 so important? Well, look at north, east, west, and south. They represent 10. The 2 is north and the 2 is south, right? And then the east and the west is 3 and 3. And I'm saying this only because they look like numbers. They're not actually letters or numbers. But when you look at these numbers and you put them together, it represents 10. That's 2 and 3 and 2 and 3. North and south, west and east. Put them as 2 plus 3, 2 plus 3. You got 10. Which is the X. That's why the T can be there just like an X can be there. They're both a symbol, but it means other symbols for something else. That's why I can plus it and I can times it. That was the whole purpose of creating time.
So what was the purpose of creating time again? I thought it was to keep us locked, stuck.
I can't lock you unless you say you're locked.
Okay.
So the only thing I can do is try to seem like I can trick you.
Because you don't know if I'm locked or not.
Right. So just like a square, don't know if it's a block or it's a square.
It doesn't matter what mechanism you use against me, you still can't say I'm locked.
Right, because you could be calling it a cube. I'll be calling it a block, or you be calling it a lock. And all of these are to a point where someone else say, well, it's still a jail cell. And that's how the ironic, these messages can be in everybody's words. It just might be different messages.
And then again, you can have the capability of coming out of your body and walking through walls.
And so what you're just doing now is being able to adapt not only the walls, the words. You build words just like you build buildings. That's Etimon. You can't escape Etimon. You know your origin. You know how you originate out of that. It's what blocks the certain people who put doubt into truth of their spiritual side, or put doubt in their subjective truth, or put doubt in their objective truth. But if you know you have 3 truths of yourself, that would be your head, the stellar, and then your heart, sonar, and then of course the hips, that's the lunar. So how do we get through the 3? You had to be aware of what those are, MPS or PMS or SMP. Sometimes we'll have PMS feeling, but it's only because our physical is now being attacked, and our mental and spiritual need, some help. And now you got to switch it. Might be SMP you need to change it to, or going back to PMS, these things are seeing how a paternal, a mother, and the system to it as the patah being the P. You can use your own language and create your logos in the language, which means logic to how your language is formed. Acronyms help you better yourself anyway. I mean, you have a name, so break every letter down and say this what it stands for. You know what I mean? And that's how your body starts to become at one. This is how we start to see oneness. Instead of looking for outside remedies, you have answers. You are the Asur. So as Asur, also known as the Usir, and the Usir, you know, you're the user of light. All these are the same concepts of a name named Asar. I just happen to call them different vibrations. So Asur, Usur, Usir, all of them are saying is user. User, we use a username, right? And it's still Asar. We just wouldn't know it unless we study Etimon.
Mm-hmm. And what is Etimon?
Origin, finding the origin, like lexigramming it, breaking it down, seeing it from the word in a we call it definition. The Phoenicians might have gave us a definition, yet it has an iliac crest. Iliac brackets that's going to tell you the origin of where that actual definition came from, because we are actually defining something. It might have been somebody's origin that wanted to define it versus that's the actual meaning behind it. They maybe gave it a different interpretation.
Mm-hmm. So our dark energy is pretty much connected to what's inside of us, which is our solar system.
And okay, so the dark energy represents your Shadu, Shadu, a Shadu. Mm-hmm. Shadu would be how they call shadow, D-O-W. But of course, dough is also like dew, D-E-W. It's why rain or water end up on the grass and we don't know how it got there, but it's through the night or the evening. So we use the snake, the Eden, as the apple that was supposed to be bitten of knowledge from the truth of being ignorant. So as one who's a snake can also be despised as someone, you know, being evil, yet there's a garden snake. It don't have to be as deadly as the viper. So that's why certain things that we, you know, are looking at can also make us look opposite of ourselves when we're looking at it. Because I have a demon, you have a demon. Everybody got a demon or a bad, evil concept inside of them. And when I say evil, all I'm doing is using the word live backwards.
Right, because that's our mechanism for life.
Yeah. Because even demon is demanding.
If we don't use our evil, then we're allowing other things to live over us.
Yeah, well, if you don't know what to do with your evil, it can take a better advantage of you. And then that's how you feel like, oh, well, that was my other side that came out. Mm-hmm. Your other side, I get it. And you just want
because our evil is supposed to be for us to bring it in better context.
Right.
For us to do our evil is to own more black businesses, be more about our own community, about our own selves. That would be seen as evil.
Right. And that's just like your
life for us, because it's the only way we're going to sustain.
Well, I mean, we sustain regardless, because this is what melanin does. It shows itself through all triumphs, whether it's being in the store or being on the ground or showing how we survived a surgery or been in a fight or whatever that is that shows the outcome of whatever that was. That's why melanin happens to be triple black. It's not just regular black. It's triple black. That means it's darker than dark. It's not even what you think is black. Because even black ain't black.
It's like when we close our eyes and we can't see anything. That's the triple.
But yet, closing your eyes don't mean that when you close your eyes, it's just gonna be black though, because
No, I mean, I don't see. I mean, you can't see.
well, this is what I was gonna state. You have an imagination that's greater than even the blackness that you see in your mind. So now you might have a light lit when
I
you
have a
close.
light. Yeah, I see a light.
Mm-hmm. And the color spectrum would be just as bright as if you turned the light off, or just like as if you turned it on.
Uh-huh.
It's like a different world inside that imaginative brain of ours.
Right.
It's just a matter of
Yes, Monica, no justice.
Hmm?
Welcome. So we're trying to answer your question. If you have any more questions, please put it in there and we'll try to work with it.
And you know, if you're already at a point where you're saying, okay, well, what do I do to train this part of my telepathy aspect or my clairvoyance aspect? We as a people should do eye exercises. Like I take my finger and I put it over here to my left, right? Then I put it in my middle, and I put it over to my right, and then I go down in the mid, and I put it in the middle, and I put it to my left. Then I put it at the bottom, and I put it to my lower nose, part of my middle, and now to the right. That's one. Looking at my finger, looking further out. Put my finger out, looking at my finger, looking further out. Your focus, when focus is being used better, is giving you more of how to focus in other places. If we do Tai Chi, if we do Capoeira, if we do, like I said, drumming or playing a flute, even grabbing a flag and just twirling the flag, your balance is going to kick in. Your coordination is going to also flow. You know, first, I'm not going to say it's not going to all happen right in the moment you start it. I can't say that. Your drive has to be just as strong as what you're doing in the action. So if you're at a point where you're not a not give up type being, you are going to pursue it. And it's going to happen because that's what disciplined and disciplinary people do. They go to that limit and then see that they can push themselves beyond that. And it'll be a good thing for those who are telepathic or having these abilities that they're calling out. I just wouldn't look at it saying, oh, I'm telepathic. You run around, oh, I'm telepathic. Oh, I'm telepathic. That's not good. That's actually saying, like, you just begin to tie your shoe, and now you're telling everybody, oh, I can tie my shoe. Ooh, look at me. Because guess what? Somebody's going to test you.
Right. And it doesn't work like that either. You got to be in a certain...
Yeah, exactly. You already got to be in some kind of mode already.
Yeah, you got to be in a... That's why I feel like sometimes I get taken out of my zone when I'm I can be in my zone and it works good when you're by yourself and no outside distractions. I think that's what it is.
So what you're speaking on is what we call because there's three ways we live our lives, right? One is the individual life. Then there's the social life, but then there's the societal life. And if you can get to the societal life, that's excelling your individual life.
Okay.
And what's our comfortable with our individual life, yet it's not going to help those in a social environment. How are you going to help those in a social environment? By knowing societal versus social in the environment.
Okay.
Because some of us just feed off of social, right? And now it makes people want to be individual. And it also makes people want to be social. So it's like everyone has their purposes. It's just that as you're choosing these things, what is it that making you feel more of there's a progress within itself? Because if I'm already an individual, guess what? That's just like me coming out my mama's womb. But now I don't have no one to get this knowledge I already gained from my mama's womb. Nobody gonna want to hear about my mama's womb. So now is the idea of how do I get into an environment and not kick them to the curb as I'm going into the environment? Because now it's a social thing. Like you could be talking down about a janitor, right? but not knowing the janitor's right next to you. And be like, dang, I'm over here talking to John about the janitor. He right next to me. So, and then he serves you whatever, you know what I mean? Like he serves you the trash can so you can put the trash that you just had. And he's like, oh man, now I'm really feeling bad because he's actually, you know, doing what he's supposed to be doing. And here I was just dissing it. Everyone got an A on their hip. And that A also can be an A hole on their head. So not to be a whole A or a hole, we got to remind ourselves where the A is at. A also separates other words just as much as I can separate other words. So when it's a point of self-speaking, self can actually have a different way of speaking versus I have a way of speaking. See, as soon as I say I, it becomes an action, and that might be a problem for certain people. They might not want to hear action. They might want to hear a togetherness before action gets started.
Right. And it's, you know, a lot of things that our people don't see is that when, as a collective, we're in turmoil. So as a collective, we're going to give off an energy that is going to move things.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you move some furniture, how do you think they're going to feel if you move some of my furniture? Yeah, put that back. I ain't too telling you to move stuff in my house. Right. But it looks better if you feng shui it this way. Uh-oh. Conflict of interest.
Right.
So do you get rid of the host or you get rid of the parasite inside the host?
Exactly.
And you know, it's pretty dangerous when you don't want to actually hurt the host. You just want to get rid of the parasite. But it's very tedious on how you got to do that. You know, that takes some action, some plans. Action.
But for us, how we know is they want to always keep our soul separated from our lower self, our higher self separated.
This is why we talk about telepathy. We gotta know these things. You know what I mean? Like if I don't, that's how I'm separated. The head is separated from the flesh. The actual. Let's go here. There's flesh. There's bones, and then there's spirit. You're talking to them at all times, or you're talking on one of them, or two of them, or none of them, or all three. So, as that, you're still in the stellar, your sonar, and your lunar. You have the square, right? The square represents Aries, right? The triangle represents Leo. And then the circle represents Sagittarius. Why is the Aries represented square? Because we think logically cardinal, up, down, left, right. So if I could think of it logically, I can see how this works. Triangle, I got to see what's fixed to help me see how this is going to work. If it's not fixable, then it's not going to work. I need food, clothing, and shelter. So as a triangle, that's what's going to be my heart of that thought. Now, all three of these are fires. I went from the first fire, Aries, second fire, Leo, and now I'm going to the third fire, Sagittarius. That's my hips. So that's the I, thigh. How I see it through the eye. THI, GH. There's a GH, but the G happens to be our force, the seventh force energy, G. You know, they have an energy off of G, but the H is like a high all in itself. It don't even need the I. It's just high. It's on a high level. That's why we have to think on a high level connection from the hips of our thigh back to our head, because we don't have to stay in the thighs. The thighs also can be connected by stressing ourselves. So where does the stress come from? Tension. And we call it Capricorn. So if you don't know your structure, you have to now pay attention. That's where 10 is. 10 is also the net. That's why we use netter, internet, to know the network. How do we use the net? But this is where a form of like we were saying earlier, words can be now shaped into your thoughts.
They have also made us think that it's superpowers, but for us, it's not super.
Yeah,
it depends on the perspective you're coming from, because
Right.
they lack these abilities, and they have them on a basic level.
Right, because
they
if
give it to us and make us think it's something impossible.
Or if I show you separated, as in to like a subtract sign and a divide sign, if I do that to you, you're going to automatically think that this doesn't exist from that. So now, if I can keep you separated from your body of your emotion to the body of your feeling, I might have a little bit of a leeway to where you feel like a turtle with a shell on your back while I'm running around like a hare. The hair is also connected to air. All I do is put an H on it. And you know hair is also R. So now who is doing what they are doing?
Yeah. That's why hair is supposed to
go ahead.
Defy gravity.
Right.
It's supposed to be in the air.
So, you know, the air again goes back to gravity that wasn't there before. Because gravity don't have an existence, but gravity also does have an existence.
Okay.
That's why it's weight. You can weigh it on yourself. You feel heavy, you know, or weight, and you can't wait because you're impatient. Wordplay. But when you know to play on words, you can find the strength that was also hidden in that word. Because it might have made you feel, but it also can give you strength. That's why in the beginning was the word. And then in the beginning was the word with God. Then it said, now the word is God. So how it become with it and now being it itself. See what I'm saying? So it's all in oneness. How you find your
word, because when we say the words, we say what we say, we're manifesting.
Right.
Into the physical, from the spiritual into the physical.
And so if you're saying now is with God, you're actually saying that energy just as much as how you said it was God, it's an energy of the God. Now you're showing how it's with the God. Now you're about to say it's God. You know what I mean? Like, so you're making it having a physical attachment to your spiritual, right? Your spiritual and your mental, because we were looking at our spiritual body having a flesh, and now it's connected to the bone. This is why 6 is that importance of why change. 6 happens to be a spiritual body, like the Star of David, but being a 6-pointed star in the womb of how we come out through the compass and the square of our feminine energy connected to the shell, like a turtle, to our back, to know us that who has our back, or it wouldn't be our hips that has our back, but who created us was through the hips that has our back. Metaphorically, we know everything, we just don't know how we know it. That's why the know is also don't know. That's how you get no more. You know more than you think you know.
You have any questions, Monica? Zero, you have any questions? DLD?
DLD, you still there, bro?
I put the link in, but
you said you got booted out last time.
Oh,
so now you know how I felt.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, it happened to me. I felt that one. But again, like I said, this is that point where we're in a personal grade. So it's not a retrograde feeling like most people say, oh, it's a bad thing. No, it's just letting you know it's a personal, like you're learning a personal part of yourself, a personal trait of yourself. So Virgo, as a Virgo being 6, here we are in the fear tactic. Somebody might put the fear tactic on us and not having us say, oh, okay, wait a minute. This is just a spirituality check that I need to check myself and not be caught up by the snake who's being sneaky and being in the garden, even though he's supposed to be a garden snake, he's not guarding who he's supposed to be guarding. You know, serpentine energy. So to be more in tune with your Kundalini, Get out, meditate. Or if it's too cold, stay in and meditate. Get your stretching on. Move your legs. Move them extensions of your ankles, your wrists, your elbow even, your neck. Do a headstand if you can. You know, if you can't, do a tripod. Work on the stages of bending your back the opposite direction. Lean off your bed before you get out of it. And put your head to the floor versus just putting your feet all the time. Do the reverse of, since we already been doing stuff backwards. Let's go forward.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. What's my next question? Yeah, these things a lot of times they make it seem like it's impossible, but because our mind has been so programmed to think at just a lower level, that sometimes we exist only on a lower level because we refuse to rise above that level and try to raise ourselves up.
Right. You're
because
right.
we think this is all there is, and it's not.
Right.
By no means.
Well, we've been caught by that by any means necessary in our actions. So now we feel that the Mohammedanism is a way that most people have been living, and this is how it should always be. Yet we're now waking up to find out you can't always live like that because certain people are seeing us doing these Mohammedanism situations. And some of us, after 50 years or even 40 years, decide to say, oh, wait a minute, this wasn't how it was said or done. So now we actually do have to come and face our truths. You know, some of us probably said, hey, the tooth fairy is real. But then after a while, the child finds out that it's not. So it's a point in our lives now, are we really being honest with ourselves, to our children, to the family that's around us? Because when the house burns, it's not just over there in the other people's yard. It can come to your house as well. So when it does, don't just be like, oh, that house over there burning, I ain't got nothing to do with that. I ain't got nothing to do with me. And then all of a sudden, oh, this house burning on my house. Hey, somebody help me.
Yep.
Too late now. That's that late and 8. This is why Geb or Sebek is that connection. You go into Geb from the mountain, but Sebek is the door. So when you're in that door, you got to be careful what you're already eating because you already ate it. So now you got to be proof to what you ate. This is why the doers are now doing. Because it's up to us to do or not do, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So basically, we don't necessarily go by astrology as Black people. So when we know that they're running a game on us when they use the astrology to tell us our fortune and stuff like that, because we are the cosmos.
Right. Well, see,
you can't really use that for us.
Right.
But from their perspective, they think the only difference with us is the color.
Yeah. Well, see, they gave us a part of what again, that's what that separation and divide concept was about. Like, if I could show you only a part of what you are, maybe you accept that you're not that in itself altogether. So if I say you're a Pisces, you're not going to look back three months behind you and say, wait a minute, even though you saying I'm a Pisces, I got 12 months to a year. It's not 9 months, but yet 9 months is how you came into existence. So now if you had a physical body, then yeah, it could be 9 months. But what about your spiritual body? Then that probably is your 12 months. You didn't go back 3 months back. You know what I'm saying? So now if I look at myself and say, okay, I'm Pisces, let me go back 3 months. That's Aquarius, that's Capricorn, and then that's Sagittarius. Oh, well then I'm actually a spiritual Sagittarius and a physical Pisces. And so now you can start to map out yourself a lot better. Because why? You came into an existence, not only a certain number, that number matches a zodiac, right? And then because you are off of this zodiac in itself, it matches the opposite of the moon. So if we don't know how we came into existence, your emotional body, right, which is your mental body, and your spiritual body is already in disarray. And here you go talking about you know thyself.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can't, not possibly. And then there's Eastern astrology. If you went into the year of what animal characteristic is not saying you're this animal. All these animals that we know, we looked at as Buddha did. We looked at it, watched it in the personification that we have certain elements of what we do, they do, certain body parts. Not saying that we're an evolved animal. We're looking at the parts of the animal that favors the same that we have in our body. And that's why their agility also has resemblance of what we do. So that's why we came up with the year of the dragon, or the year of the snake, or the year of the tiger, or the year of the rabbit. These are the ways that some of us are interacted with life. And so because there's an interaction with life, it also explains it in a way that in a social environment, this is how we react. So now you can actually have a wide range of your spiritual, mental, and physical before you even said your physical. You know what I mean? So there's ways to get the blueprint. If we don't have a blueprint, it's because it's called a manual or a guide. Now it's a guidance. This is why we get guidance counselor when we go to school, you know?
Yeah. Well, we got Zero up here. You want to comment or ask any questions?
So I was in backstage. I was peeking through the curtains, and y'all called me and pulled me out.
Like that, Zero, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's ordinary. Everything gotta get that to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Zero. The number that means nothing and everything at the same time.
That's right.
Positive and negative.
Yeah. So yeah,
You gotta know something.
So Monique, Monica, where'd she go? She leave?
Yeah.
Oh, she's still out there. She's listening. Yeah, but I'm trying to find a simple way to explain. It's pretty much you know your abilities.
Right.
By being in tune with self, the higher self. The higher self is what guides us. So it's very critical that we in tune with the higher self. That way we know when danger's around us. We know we have something telling us don't go down that road. But because we're not been taught, or we're not been shown, or we're not in the environment conducive of helping us grow and develop those abilities. We're so detached from our own selves, and we know that we should have listened after a while, because we end up getting into a situation, and we like, I knew there was something about that. Something told me not to do that. That's what we always say, but we don't listen to it because we were taught about something outside ourselves. We got to be more listening to and not listening to the intuition. And
that's the intuition.
But basically having an understanding of who we are.
Yeah, that's intuition.
Yeah.
That's having clairvoyance for your intuition. Mm-hmm. Like you have a way that you're going to be initiated to do certain things. Like we're going to end up knowing the forest from the woods. Sometimes you have to get lost in order to find yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It starts you off at 0. The 0 shows you how numbers begin. It's the origin to the numbers. So if we don't go to the 0 with a 0 degree, we won't have an agree with everything. You have to have a degree first in order to agree, right?
Right.
So as 90 degrees, we're at a 1 point of I think right, but then of course 180 represents, oh, I see right and left, but that also represents front and back, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what is left or right, is whether it's balanced or not. Because if you can balance it, you can make it go more than 180. You can go 360. You can go 450. You can go further, you know. But some of us in a cycle thinks that we only go one circle and that's all you got to do. Like there's no inner and outer circle. That's the difference from the higher and lower self. Because the higher and the lower self has to have a mid self. That's why I'm saying to be or not to be. As be is the question.
I mean, I think the important thing is like to find that balance between the higher and lower self. It's like, you don't want to get too caught up in the lower self, but you don't want to get too caught up in the higher self.
Come on, bro. There you go.
Cause if you like your lower self, you get too close to the ground. If you get the higher self, you float away. So you want to you want to you want to keep it there. And like a thing I try to make a point to it, because like I don't think most people think about spirituality like that, but spirituality pretty much embodies like everything. And
there you go.
And like if you're gonna if you want to make spirituality apply to you, it has to be practical. Like what you learn should be something that could immediately help you in some kind of way. If it doesn't, then you should just really just get rid of it, because it's not gonna help you.
Exactly. It ain't working for you.
Yeah. So you're right. It's supposed to
look, that's just like your food. No, well, it's just like your food waste. If your food waste stay in your body too long, you got to get rid of it, right? And if you don't, you're gonna come up the opposite direction. So it's got to be a point of what is it using for? What is the purpose of it? What is the use and the user and the usir? So how we're using the light is a dependency. Like Ampu helps you with a pep get the toxin out of your body. But now if Ampu is not helping you, Ampu would just be like, all right, well, you getting sick. You act like you don't want me to help you. So I'm gonna let this function not function. And there's the dysfunction. And when we're talking about Ampu, we're talking about in your groin area. So it's like Scorpio. What is the general function for Scorpio? And then look outside of Scorpio as not just Scorpio, a relator. How does Scorpio relate to society? They call it Scorpion King for a reason, because it came back up to the throat as Taurus. That's this oppositional on the zodiac scale. So once it knows itself, that's saying that I know my backside of myself. So now that I know my backside, I should know my left and I should know my right. So now you are a compass. You are the north, east, west, and south. Now, how do you center yourself is how you see yourself in the inner. The brother said, there is no really good and bad. If you're going to do good, you can go too extreme. You go bad, you can go too extreme. So we have to seesaw it. We have to balance it. So seesaw also means cut. So there's certain things you might have to cut out. You know what I mean? Certain things you might have to apply because you see it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think we get caught up in the duality. We got to pick one or the other. It's like I was like two choices. I'm like, there's a third option. It's just nobody really thinks about it. It's kind of like saying like everybody say like it's two sides of this story. No, it's three. It's your side, the other person's side, and the truth.
Yeah. You know what? I just
subjective truth and the objective truth. Those are three.
I was pondering this today about the paranormal, what they call the paranormal. I noticed that with my paranormal experience, it was given, it's like you can tell that it wasn't what the stereotypical ideology that the Caucasians give us about the paranormal.
Yeah, because look at the word.
I thought about it, and I thought about how it gave me smell. It gave me sound. It touched me. And then it gave me a breath when all those other things didn't work.
Right.
I started breathing, and then I looked over and I didn't see anything, but I heard this man breathing.
All right, check it. Para meaning two. Normal is norm. Is the actual scientist named Norm. He created Norm's Day. Also created by Tuesday. Most people use that same marketing scheme to create market. So they basically make sales. So they like make a sale on Tuesday and then switch, or make an end of a sale on Tuesday, and then switch it up on Wednesday. So it's the whole idea of being able to tune. So you're saying para as in to tune. So when you said breath, that's also a tune.
And so smell. It gave me smell. I forgot about that. It smelled like it was trying to get. You can tell it was something trying to get my attention.
Well, that's the thing.
I don't think it was trying to take anything away from me. A lot of times we think that when those things happen, it's trying to either take something away from us. No, it may be communicating.
That's why it's a sense. It's a double sense. Like you can smell, taste, or taste, touch, or feel, hear, versus just feeling it. Just like air. Air doesn't have just air in it. It has water in the air. It's called H2O. So with it being elements, it's like how you alchemize it. Are you alchemizing it when you're seeing it, when you're tasting it, when you're touching it, when you're feeling it? Or are you just looking at it for what it is and not really knowing what it is?
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, like when people, like break out alkaline, it's like, yeah, alkaline is one thing, but it can't be too alkaline because
there you go.
I mean, ideally with water, you want it to be in the middle. You don't want to be acidic, you don't want to be alkaline. You just want it because really it's supposed to be like water's supposed to be at 7 with the pH balance scale, but a lot of people get stuck on the alkaline tip. I'm like, yeah, it's not ain't really good for you to be going out like that. But it's like this whole thing where it's your body is acidic and saying like certain products are acids and some of the products they name ain't even really acids. They actually are alkaline. They just it's just like usually when people eat like certain substances, like if they eat like alkalines or base products, and they don't have enough acid and they don't have enough acid in their body to digest it or something like that. It kind of creates this heartburn where like people think like, oh, I'm having too much acid. No, you're not having enough acid in there. And when they take that acid, it takes away that acid, a little bit of acid in them, and they have to rush to make more on it. So it's tearing up your stomach the more you use them in acids, which really, your body needed more acid, but it create, there's like the acid create like this burn effect that you think like, oh, I had too much. So you think you had too much acid, well, you just didn't have enough.
Yeah.
I like to eat a lot of lemons.
Okay.
So would that be acidic?
I mean, lemons acidic, but they, like lemons are pretty much like multi-purpose fruit. Like they, like internal and external. Yeah. Yes, external and internal cleanser. I mean, you can actually put it up on fresh squeezed lemon juice and like actually rub it on your up on the armpits and like it'll create deodorant, or you can use the juice and rub it on your body and it'll create a natural bug repellent. And both of these actually try so it does actually work.
Yeah, actually, lemon works both ways. You can use it for acidic, or you can use it for alkaline. You can use it for acidic if you use cold water, or you can use it for alkaline if you use hot water.
Okay, so you just put it in your water.
Right.
You can make your own alkaline water like that with cucumbers.
I mean, because really, you need acid to govern one side of you with the alkaline, because like how you said, there's both sides you're gonna need. 6.9 to 7, going to 7.1 is going over the alkaline base, and now you're going back into the base side the wrong way. What you want to do is you want to still have it at a balance. And if you have some kind of acidic water when you're feeling sick, that's when you use it.
Now, I want to get into another discussion. I want to talk about viruses. Can viruses be cured? Because
viruses
I know that
Yeah.
the flu still is around. It's not a cure.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean it can, but the current system now doesn't want to cure anything. So there's that. I mean, I'm sure if like we didn't, if someone did enough research in like herb stuff like that, I'm pretty sure there'll be something out there that could actually cure it, but no one
Yeah.
actually wants to
Because
cure anything.
giving you a vaccine doesn't really help the issue.
No.
The flus.
That's why it's man-made. That's the germicide way of an attack towards the chemical warfare, and it was done in the militaries ever since the Agent Orange was put on the skin against brothers who was at serving for Vietnam. They actually got hit with that, and to a point where it changed the skin and altered it. And because they're now knowing that, it also been into the processed foods. We have ways that where we can end up turning feminine because of the estrogen off of the meat. So it's a point of learning how to govern that side so that you won't be looking at like, because just to think, for instance, if you ate chicken so much, why not eat rooster?
Right.
There's an off balance that's been put in front of us, and we've been constantly eating off balance. And so we're saying, okay, well, even if you ate fish, are you really looking at sometimes eating masculine ones versus just feminines? You know what I mean? So it's just the idea of what are you basing your life off of to eat on a balance? Because if you know masculine and feminine, what are we doing as masculine and feminine? And it's based on everything we do. So that's what makes it the Trinity. We're the child to everything. So the mother and the father time, Mother Grace gave us nature, Medu Nature, Mother Nature. And it's through time we're learning it. So that's why the child has to learn. This is why the rainbow children and the crystal children and the indigo children came into existence. It was through the drugs and the pushed away fathers and the deadbeat dads and all of the things that had come in front of us that say, okay, well, we got to do just like those who went through a struggle, how to become a god out of that. Without a struggle, there is no advance to progression.
And we don't tend to see that there's a connection in between them forcing us to give up our language, give up our eating habits, and take on their eating habits and take on their language so that we can know their demented knowledge and live a demented lifestyle.
Right. And it shortens our lifespan.
Yeah.
If you think this, let's go deeper. It's about ejaculation and ejaculation. And because we weren't taught about ejaculation, a lot of us have lost the brain membrane that we've been needing for cells to keep reproducing so that we wouldn't stunt ourselves or become impotent in our older age as we're progressing. 0.2 times the age of a man is his ejaculation expectation. And if he, like, let's say, okay, 0.2 times 20. All right, so that means 4 days in that young brother having ejaculation. If he works on ejaculation, he won't have to, go through the 4 days. He will have to learn how to use only but 10% of it, though. So this is like we have to now be more in control of how our emotions are to be so explosive, because woman has 9 waves, man has 7 ups and down energy, while women have circular energy. So that's why it's different on how our life of being around in relations has changed. And even in our songs, we talk about wanting to do a quickie and things like that, or don't want to be in a relationship, just want to have another one with another woman. And so we're making impractical ways of having either a broken relationship, the child being involved, and postpartum also being involved. So Ma'afa plays a big part into how our lifestyle has changed. And we don't know about Ma'afa. It's just basically the abortions, how the child has been taken out of the family issue and used in the industry.
Yeah, exactly. I see that. That's that witchcraft.
Right.
Which way do we stir them, or which way, on our crossroads, trying to choose which way to go, but having those temptations trying to steer us the way they wish for us to go.
Right, and it gives some
environmental influences.
It gives some of us no choice, and then some of these children already say, "Well, who's my parent now?" And so they react to the parent. They become the parent. They become the parent, and maybe even better than the parent, or to a point worse than the parent, to a point where they could even become opposite of themselves in sex to become the parent, because that's who they looked up to. So there's a lot of what we're seeing, we're like not really paying attention to how we're still being the image, like you said earlier with the mirror. We're putting the mirror back out. So what is image but I'm age, image? And so are we acting our age? Are we doing peers that's helping the other side of what we're doing? Or are we causing more damage than good?
So basically, part of our to get to our dark energy within ourselves, we just don't only have to have the connection with the soul. We have to be eating. We have to be aware of where we're at and what's going on around us. And balance. Ma'at. It's very important to have ma'at. I think last time I was trying to explain some things. I'm trying to remember what we were talking about last time. About Kemet, because I'm not very strong on Kemet, but I am strong more of understanding it through the spiritual aspect of it.
Kibulan.
Yeah, Kibulan. So, but I know Kemet is nothing but short for the chemistry. And that's all I came to the conclusion that we are here is chemicals. And when we look at it that aspect, we see how the frequency of the energies that we are dealing with affect us. Because it's all a chemical imbalance, or you're going to be chemically balanced.
Right.
Yeah, and I always find it funny like that. Like, everybody talks about Kemet, but nobody mentions like Samaria, which, came for everything.
Right.
Suma.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Suma. Yeah, there's the Sumerian text, the coffin text, how vibration became what it is. So a lot of us now are able to, like what I was saying about Etimon, it helps you get back to the origin.
I was going to say that about the vibration. That's what it is, vibrational. When you speaking, when you saying those words that you were saying, that we use.
Or.
Yeah.
It's like the roll of the tongue, so the Latin vibration was still there. So it's like that's why Latin in the Black Law Dictionary still help you, get more in tune with self. There's still other books that give us some of that, vibration. So it's just more of we get around the collective.
Latin really does it for me. I remember being in high school and I took Latin class and I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why I was so taken by that movie, Clash of the Titans, and all that. It just brings it all together for me, And I don't know. It's just.
Oh,
when that energy comes and over you, it's just I don't know how to explain it on this part of from the spiritual to the physical. I just can't, at times.
Well, it's all in measurements. I mean, you created a measurement of how you know what time shows when you're in that realm. That realm is different. We're in infinite realms, so there's realms collide when we're seeing how building words with another language shows that we're not colonized by just one language. You're a multilingual language. So when they say, what's your first language? It wouldn't be English. It would be actually Ebonics. But we wouldn't say Ebonics, we would say English. So that's why the colonized level kind of puts that in the frame. But if we can see our mind to expand like space, like right now, between you and me right now and the brother is space. And now even further is space. So if our mind can expand as such, that also opens up that window. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because when you're speaking English, and a lot of people want to say proper English, and you're dealing in the proper realm, you're dealing in a lot, like a box where you can't really go anywhere else because it's already set. There's laws, there's all these rules and laws. So basically, you're just repeating the same thing over and over again. You're learning the same thing over and over again around religiously doing the same thing. That you're not allowing change.
Well, I mean, English itself is an incomplete language. It was just made up from different languages. That's why, new words be coming out. Like other languages, they pretty much got they words down. I mean, it's like for example, Japan. Like their kanji, like they don't have certain words. So like certain words English wouldn't be able to translate. So like in order for them to try to even throw that in there somehow, they had to make up a whole another language to account for some of the English words.
That's why the mentality is different for someone who speaks a different language.
Yeah.
Their mentality is not a lower vibrational mentality necessarily, because you have to lower yourself to speak the English language, basically, because our language is so cold. It says so many different things that one word.
Our language is confusing compared to others because like we have like different words that like maybe sound the same but are spelled differently.
And then they got us talking in a way that's not. It's a little lazy tongue.
Right.
Not well.
The R is lazy. You say the R, you just R. You're not saying you're not doing that. You're just saying R. So
that's why I was doing the test last week on Isis Rael. Isis Rael. Isis Rael.
Trying to roll your tongue, weren't you?
No, I wasn't trying to. But
No.
you know, that's a process too. That's a exercise. You know,
Yeah.
ra. I see.
Mhm.
Ra.
So yeah, I knew
Just
you try to roll your tongue.
because you know they pronounce way different than we pronounce. So
The English built off of French, German, Dutch,
Spanish.
and Spanish.
Yeah.
And so with those being,
Latin,
huh?
Latin.
Yeah, I said Latin and Spanish. Well, that being the connection, it's a point where this is why Ebonics is a different dialect that was pulled out of that language, which made it a sixth type connection, even though the alpha beta, which is the alphabet, is Hindu. So this is why Hindu was also introduced to us when we didn't know about it. So just like when Benjamin Banneker came out with the almanac, it was with the letter K. There was no C. So when that came out, it was a different aspect that was starting to change. And then, of course, through the years, they started changing and it made it a C, just like the Bernstein Bears. So they did a little flip up in front of us. But yet, at the same time, they put in the year of our Lord. Now, mind you, in the 1700s, we weren't calling people lords at that time, or maybe they were, and we weren't paying attention to it. Yet at the same time, in the 1700s, they put the minstrels out. So it was at a point where we were at a high, and we was also starting to be a pivotal point of showing ourselves as a low. And that's where you get the homie. If you look up the homie, you see that Sammy Davis Jr. imposing as a top hat, which is a legba with the tap dancing shoes and things like that, wearing the black and, doing all the sport connection for, art as in entertainment with tap dancing. Yet at the same time, this is connected to Nzinga, who's also known as Amazon, the homie. And so they are twists in our ways of knowing ourselves to where there was like shame to ourselves. And this is how we kind of got more into being suited and booted for something that we weren't a part of, and now we're a part of it. And to this day, we're still doing certain things in that format.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like any society, you get programmed to certain things. It just depends on like if the programming benefits you or it doesn't.
Right. To be or not to be?
Yeah.
The B asked the question. Who's the hornet now? Hornet.
So, hold on a second. So what? So it's evident that they don't want us to tap into our dark energy. That's why they always make it seem like it's something that we don't, that, oh, the Christians need to come and pray over you. And once, like my mom says, you go into a dark place, so you need to don't go too far because you're not going to come back. And I'm like, really?
Well, Christianity, like originally, actually is a political system. I mean, it's just been telling everybody it's a religion because, like, if you ever really look at the Catholic Church, I don't think they would actually, show people this, but like, like the Jesuits and all that, like all of them are actually, soldiers. They're actually, they're actually trained to fight. I mean, if they need to. But I mean, yeah, they trying to do all that, no telling what they, if they have to, fight, or maybe they do fight. Maybe they do, send them out to go fight. It's just like you don't know. It might, they might be trained to be assassins or whatever. But I know that, they train.
Meritorious mission.
Yeah.
And that was the biscuit. That was the biscuit that was given to us, thinking that we were going to be free. So we took a brotherly love bond, an oath, a promise, a curse, a swear, a sworn. That's what became the contract versus covenant. So instead of us being who we should be, we broken the bond of what we call the golden rule.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the golden ratio has been that also a part of what we are seeing conflict into. A lot of us got ashamed of saying we would have black sheeps in our family. So we didn't know what the black sheep was in the representation of till later on. And so these, as they call it, the curses, has been the doors that had skeletons in the closet, but now someone had the skeleton key to see it. So now it's another saying of, okay, well, maybe your generation was stuck in Christianity. How about this other generation is now starting to learn Yoruba? And there's certain things in our mind now that's saying, okay, well, what is Oya? And who is this Oshun? And other things that, basically you can see even from a comedic side. Who is Aset? Who is Sekhmet? Why are these names coming up so into a familiar atmosphere, atomsphere, we're seeing a lot from not only atom, but atin. So there's this tin or the net again with an A in it. So it's like, how do you see attention? Where is these words coming from that it becomes a root into you like a deity? That's how the Temura language became a point, the front, the backwards of this word, the in and the out of it, why the AM become ma backwards, and what do you use AM for when you get up in the morning, as you call it morning? Are you mourning though? So just like you say, it could be ambiguous words. So
right,
words that help you empower yourself as you're saying it, because even if you're saying these words are bad, we're still using them. So now if you're using something bad, how do you make it good?
Mm-hmm.
And not so good that it's so positive that you destroy whatever that is, because you don't want to outweigh something, you want to balance it.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember having a conversation with a guy because he was telling me like he was telling we were talking and he was like saying balance is good. I'm like, well, balance is neither good or bad. He kept arguing with me about it when I tried to explain it to him, and I was like, well, it can't be good and bad because it's the middle. It's harmony. Like
it's
if
not right.
I'm like, if it's good, then it ain't balanced. If it's bad, it ain't balanced. If it's just
Right.
all good, it's just like positive, negative. If it's all positive, it ain't good. If it's all negative, it ain't good. I mean, it ain't a balance, So it's like, I understand like why people would focus more, why there's like this push like for more positivity because the earth is naturally negative, so you need something to balance it out, which would be positivity. But if like earth positivity, you have to spray negativity into balance it out.
That's your breath. You got your good breath, but then you also have your bad breath.
Yeah,
you don't have to always fight a war with a weapon.
Oh.
With a physical weapon, we can win a war just by words.
Sound like you got a tool
there. We had started a war of words.
Sound like you got a tool there, sister. That was a toy in the beginning.
Yeah, so we are in war.
Is it war or is it raw backwards?
Raw backwards.
Well, just make sure you don't get into no warships.
Okay.
No.
You on it now. You got it. This is how your claim to get a bigger, stronger lineage. It's from your logos, your pathos, your ethos, and your logos. If a person or being doesn't have a pathos, ethos, and the logos, where we go is law. So if we're not knowing law, it's been coded, and now we're being codified by it. You're not knowing your codes. That's what's being put on us. So it's not codes in the first place. It's law.
Right.
Now, you be
Exactly.
codified or codex. If you see codex, that means it's a sigil, something in a symbol that's being assembled in front of you. But is it your mother and your father that's connecting it, or is it someone else trying to be your mother and your father? Imposters.
Yeah.
Imposter. Imposter.
Imposters who are poster children of
Come on, there you go.
impostry.
And the portrait of Portugal. You might be constipation on your portraited thoughts, make you feel like you're stuck, a hindrance in time.
Yeah. I'm trying to see. So yeah, it all starts within us as Black people. That's what the melanin magic. Or talk a little bit about the melanin, the magic.
Or you just like if you get a book, Carol Barnes, he spoke on jazzy melanin, and in jazzy melanin, you have a way to open up your brain. Your brain can be more inclined to the root chakra, and how the root chakra works is using the color spectrums or using sound to change the vibration of how you feel. But there's ways that Gayosha, uh, Magi, and Theurgy was put into music. There's also black, white, and gray, which makes it a 6-point star. So it can actually be the interjection of Virgo the stomach, and also representing how it gives you a gut feeling. So it can make you even think about food, to lower energy, to sexuality, to even to a point where you can get past that and come into your heart, uh, make you feel passionate about the music, or to a point where it hits you in the head, where now you can use this for a certain aspect in your life. Um, that's why music is important, to even if you could start being a part of it, being the one who plays it though, not the one who listens to it so much, because you are an instrument. So as a tool, it's with the piper or the pan to panic, to Pandora, um, the word pan and pants. This is the point where Capricorn was put in front of us before it became Sagittarius. Structure of the bones. The bones is used just like the piano. You put keyboards and you press on it, and it actually helps the Libra sign in the back. And everybody has a Libra because everyone has a back. And also connect to your pineal gland. So if you're in tune with how to use the 32 vertebrates to the 33 and a half, there's this point of energy, this expression from 5, 32, and then 5 and a half, there's one more over, still, let's just say 6. You come into the spiritual aspect of what Virgo does. It grounds you and gives you the earth mother. So if we're knowing the truth about how music does, it's hypnotic. And if you can use even yourself as movement, your body language becomes the same way. So that's how Gayosha is being shown, as if a magician starts using cards or doing anything like that, it becomes one Gayosha to Magi. And Magi is a point of using energy, transferring energy. And then there's Theurgy, a point where the energy is transferred to a higher source. And also energy can help heal purposes. But then there's the point of where it can be black, white, or gray, which most people that explain usually are in a gray Magi. whereas, like how you said earlier, midway. Black is with malice, intent, and white is pure with no intent. Um, pure, yeah. There's ways that we give unconditional love, and so certain ways you see how that's worked in the field of whatever you're doing, and so that's how some people see. Oh, I see no color. Actually, you see color, but you're going past the color, and that's what is the wrong words to be using. But yet at the same time, it was like they had to express themselves. So that's the first thing that came to their head. But if we think from our head, our heart, and our hips, they are the fire signs, and that's how you start your first form of magic. That's why the eyes can see, but it's quicker with the hands than the eyes. Because I can use this camera and go like this, but by the time I go like, I can go slower, then you can finally see what I was doing. But if I move it fast, you're like, what happened? So the eyes move slower than the hands. When we think with the eyes, we can believe things. That's what causes us not to actually know it yet. It's until we go over there, touch it, feel it, and we say, oh, now I know it. Like I can say, I believe that there's a 7-Eleven across the street. But until I go over there and actually see it, touch it, feel it, okay, it is a 7-Eleven. So this is how magic works. We use it all the time.
Touch it, feel it, babe, watch it, learn it.
And psychology.
Yeah.
That's what the Caucasians use. Is the magic. And I noticed that when we was going over Rosemary's Baby last time, and in that it was a lot of psychology played. You have to have a victim.
Yeah, that's the parasite move. We call it in our Asili. Asili is the one who came out of the womb early and wanted to go back because it came out too early and their body was deformed. Even though their mind was to their self thinking intact, I want to rule the world, I want to be peaking in their brain. So once it came out, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I came out too early, my body ain't right, I need to go back and switch up. It was too late, can't go back in the womb now. So it became a point like Chucky in Child's Play, wanting to find a body and create the seance. Science is seance. So that's how paranormal also plays that part. We became a point, if you look into the book, Oxford Dictionary, and look up the word Negroid, this word was originated to put a derogative in the brain, but also create a way to start using it as a science. So now the word Negroidism, now saying to study the study of a black person who loves their black culture. Now it's a color vibration put on it along with talking about the culture. Then there's negrophobic. So now I can say I can have fear of this black person. You know what I'm saying? So I'm giving excuses more and more. So it becomes a point where now there should be a reason why I can do the things that I've been doing. But this is why we have to be more in tune with, if we're reading these words, where's the origin coming from? And now if you see the origin behind it, who's really saying that origin? Because they might have been using that word and propaganda it across America, and we all didn't know we were saying the same thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. Like the original word American did not even originally refer to the Caucasian. It actually referred it like the original definition was said like to someone who was copper colored who was native to America. I mean,
right.
it is like pale skin.
Right. That's it. When we put the word white and then we make it white and then say white America, they can actually say, okay, I guess y'all talking about us. But then we say white, like we're saying white policeman, they say, oh, I guess you talking about me. But they don't call themselves that. And then there's some who do so they can make sure that this is still being illustrated. So now we're actually saying black and white and not knowing what black and white is.
And the funny thing
Black is
about like
white.
and the funny thing about like the term white, like it's like it doesn't even apply to like just Caucasians. Like Arabs are considered white, Indians are considered white people. I
Exactly.
mean, like this is like legal. I'm not. This is not something making up. Like this is like they're classified as that.
Right. That's
Well,
interesting.
Haile Selassie is called white.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's like a even like a term like this like probably why the Moors like using the fourth edition of Black Law Dictionary where it has like term called free white persons, which refers to like all different types of nationalities. Now, when it did include the Caucasian race in there, but they were not the only ones that were classified as a white
Well,
person.
what they're doing is they're calling themselves people of light
Hmm.
when they say white.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we know they're people void of light
Yeah.
because if they had the sunlight, they would burn from the inside out.
And then the interesting term about like the word black, if you ever look it up, it's originally German. It actually means pale,
Yeah,
bleach.
yeah, I saw that.
Bleak, bleak, block.
Yeah.
Blanche. Yeah.
Now, like the Caucasians try to say, oh well, that's not really the definition, even though they put it out there. But,
Oh, yeah.
but someone tried to deny this.
Yeah. I would put Friday the 13th on there.
Oh yeah, Friday 13th,
Yeah,
the day
today,
that the
well, yesterday was Friday the 13th. Yeah.
oh yeah, the day the Knights Templar were betrayed by the Catholic Church. Yes.
Now today's my nephew's birthday. And
Okay.
tomorrow is tomorrow, the 15th, is my birthday. What they call it
Okay.
the Eyes of March. Oh, my goodness.
There's only one
Um,
birth.
Huh?
There's only one birth.
It's only one what?
One birth.
What's that mean?
Like you have a solar return, you have a
Oh, okay. My Earth
yeah.
Day.
yeah. Because
My Earth.
you had one birth. You came here to the earth one time.
Right.
But at
Well,
the same time you're here infinite. So you've been infinite as a solar return, a born day, a strength day, a earth day, you know what I mean? But it makes you feel stronger if you know it, because if you look at the word birth, it's one of those ambiguous words that we were speaking on earlier. Birth is also BERTH and BIRTH.
yeah. I mean, it's like and like another word. Like I remember I looked up because I had like one of the older dictionaries, so I looked this. I just happened to run upon it when I was like looking up the word, like the word emancipation. It actually comes from a French word called emancipare, which means I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it means to change, to give or change. Yeah, it means to change ownership. It means yeah, to give or change ownership. So it's like when they did like the whole Emancipation Proclamation, they just changed the ownership, like from being like private property to public property, even though like slaves were actually people, but that's how they looked at them,
No, that's
looked
real.
at our people.
When you look at it, the Emancipation Freedom Act was the first concept that was put out before it became proclamation after
Yeah,
his nation. So
yeah. I mean, it was like the 13th Amendment that was supposed to free us in a way. And I mean, the original one did have it was pretty fair, and then it disappeared for a while, and then it came back, and then
yeah,
there were just two articles that were originally 20 of them. They not only had like stuff that was like really fair, that would have gave us all kind of rights, would have had like we'd had like actual rights, and then they had like coordinates to like land that was set out for us,
mhm.
which like I said, at some point in time, it just took it away for a while. It disappeared, but I mean, it's still like the actual documents still like on the Library of Congress website. and like think about it, you could probably ask the Social Security Administration to actually send you the forms. They have to send you that under Freedom of Information Act. So if you want to if you want the actual documentation, you can ask for it.
That's true. That's how much further we can go with this. This is what our parents didn't know about, but it's like they didn't want to further it either because, it was just almost like how we look at the Scottish rites and the people who actually say, hey, we're going to help you do a better way of living. And we'll take this biscuit, and now we all been living off biscuits. I'm thinking this is good to eat off of. But as you see, you can go into different areas and you see what's going on in the areas. They doing this, scare tactic to now it's a point where you going to live higher than what you're saying, or are you going to just live amongst these means that they're put in front of you?
Right. I mean, it's definitely like a time like where we need to get our own, to take back our power and to really, push ourselves forward, because I mean, it's like the way it's going, like, I put in air quotes, but the powers that be, which I call them the powers that used to be, because they're actually slowly fading, falling off, but like with them like trying to hold on to any semblance of power they actually have to try to keep everybody in line and everything like that. Like, for example, this whole coronavirus scare that they have going on. It's just like you got people, rush to the store, like, like the power gonna be shut off and all that. Like,
Look at it like this. Look at it like this. Okay. This is how I saw it. All last week, I saw other people talking about other states and their state being empty at the store. It wasn't until that control mechanism, the governor of each state started speaking, said a trigger word, and all the controlled people were able to react to that. They reacted to that. And they went out and did what was expected of them.
Right, and I remember
taking it easy and doing the opposite of what allowing them to control us. That's why I'm saying being proactive in our eating and stop eating what they want us to eat, what they put out here for us to eat, and what is making us sick, and do the opposite of everything.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, I was like talking to one of my people earlier, like they, like they were telling me that they had watched the broadcast, like where the president was, talking about the virus and all that, and then he told me like towards the end he was saying that they were like the heads of Walmart, Target, and I forgot who said who else was in there. I think it might be Costco, something. And they were talking about where we're talking about where we're gonna set up such and like before, and we said that I was like, yep. I said I knew that this scale was gonna get people to buy a whole bunch of stuff. I was like, this is too coincidental. I was just paying attention, like, cause I had seen it. I was like in Walmart. Well, Thursday I was at Walmart and I was going to get like some forks, something like that. And like I'm going through and like all these people got all these baskets full of food and boxes and all that stuff, and I'm like walking by and I see that where the water aisle is, and there is all the cases of water are gone. I'm just like, wow, like it was like, well, there was like long lines, like, and the Walmart where I'm at, like the lines never long, at least not. I mean, especially not the checkout line, self checkout line. But it's usually not that busy during the evening. Now, usually when it's busy, it would be like Saturday or Sunday. Sunday more than Saturday, because I think like Sunday, people trying to get their last get they shopping in before they gotta go to work through the week. So yeah, so I just like thinking like, man, they people buying all stuff. I said these stores are making a killing right now.
Well, what's happening too is with these stores is they can't keep the stuff. They can't. They can't get the stuff on the shelf fast enough for for the
Yeah,
for the demand.
right. They making a killing off of it.
As soon as yeah, they killing their workers too. You gotta think somebody's gotta restock those shelves after they go empty. And
Right.
in the time that they're restocking it is getting closer. Like they just restocked it. They just restocked it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the crowd comes and takes everything. They have to turn around and wait for another truck to come, and then they have to restock it again.
Look, I'm literally in Maryland, and they took a price tag on one of the almond butter on the aisle of the almond butter and says limited two only. I was like, dang, they really make you like, I mean, like you can only get but so much on certain items. I'm like, yo, that's deep. And then there's spots there's no bread, there's no water. You know what I mean? Like certain aisles had just nothing. Like,
No toilet paper.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Toilet paper anywhere I went.
Yeah. I think I had a conversation about that. It was like, like somebody was asking, like, say who, said like seeing so much toilet. Say who's gonna use that much toilet paper during during this thing?
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
like,
it
I'm,
doesn't have to be like this, though. I mean, we can calmly move, you know. I guess because you know it's all in balance and no fear. No fear. Not because I was just thinking the other day. We are the mood rings of the earth. Black people, as black people, are you still there, Eternal?
yeah, I'm still.
Okay. We're like the mood rings. I realize that's why they try to control our emotions through the display, the television, and also through the hate they have for us. They try, they glamorize what they done to us and try to get us to forever be in a state of anger.
I mean, a lot of that's
Emotion.
out of jealousy, but they, it's not just through TV. They do it through many different ways. Like, of course, like TV is a main one. Music's a big one. Of course, they get you in the water and the food and all of the. I mean, it's so many different ways they're
Politics,
hitting you. So it's
politics, your job. Yeah. They want to. They want us to be in the most state of a weak. That's a weak state to be in our emotion.
it's like no telling like how many layers of programming that they actually put on us.
The main thing is since we know or aware of it, is just to now move into a now and state. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? If we're knowing that these are these things, uh, there's a certain adversary part of self that knows the solution came before the problem.
Yeah. Usually, like, like when someone's trying to hypnotize you, it's because you want to be hypnotized. But if you don't know you're being hypnotized, then it's even better because you're not catching it. So it's like they could easily put it on you because you didn't know you didn't know you were being hypnotized. So it's like,
I would say it's more like how we look at subjective versus objective. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
you can you can now say, no, wait a minute, that's not how I want to think it. And then you're like, wait a minute, I didn't think that spell didn't work. I gotta put a higher spell on it. I mean, like and go with something else. But it's like certain
yeah,
people are like that. They'll be like, hey, and you don't know who they are, and you just automatically turn around. But they didn't call your name. They just said, hey. So that means it could be anybody.
yeah. I mean, one thing I've noticed is like it's like if they trying to use something that they're trying to control, like the masses, they'll try it on us first because I think we're the most adaptable. So if it work on us, it's gonna work on everybody else.
So now let's go into that. I said, hey, yo, let me get some money right quick. I need to go to the blah, blah, blah. That has nothing to do with you. Yet,
Right.
it's a control thing. So, do you give the money to this person? They didn't even know your name. They didn't even say peace to you. They didn't say greetings to you. They didn't say, how was your day? But they want something from you. Time to think.
Exactly. Exactly. You're so right.
That's when you put the pause in a little spell. Hold on there, brother. First of all, you need
Exactly.
to tell me, how are you doing today? Yeah. Oh, my bad, man. Oh, man, I didn't mean to say that was rude of me, man. My bad. Okay, now what was you asking about? Hey, repeat yourself. See if you're gonna readdress yourself, maybe a little bit more mannerism. And then if it's still not there, all right, I ain't got. I might not even have. I don't have. All right, well, apologize, man. And so you still feel like because I mean, you can't have somebody dominate your energy.
Yeah.
What does that feel like? That's some buck wild and stuff. That's why they call it buck and wild. Wild became a word of what they call the Negro. So that's why the word wild and Indian, why you're acting like wild Indians, is a Negro. So even in the Star Spangled Banner, they said, home of the brave. That's the Negro. So this is why we got to really know what the word Negro is. Is it your knee growing? Because that's also connected to Capricorn, where kneecap is, from the cap on things, auto cap.
Yeah, yeah. We were. I mean, it's like crazy. We ran this country for even the Caucasians even came over, but you're not going to get that part of history. And I mean, they kind of show you kind of like how the law was back then, but they don't give you. It's like you got to pay attention because like you all know like they have a constitution, but they never really get deep into the Articles of Confederation. Yeah, you ever know? I mean, if you ever watch when in history class, you ever notice that
Yeah.
they're like briefly talk about it, but they'll go right into the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like the Articles of Federation was like a period. I mean, where they they had presidents, they just weren't Caucasian.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and like I think Senate was actually pretty integrated until Woodrow Wilson came in actually.
All right. Continental Congress.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember because one of my friends that had put me on to it. I didn't know like some of this stuff. I mean, I knew like some of the people were here that weren't like slaves and all that, but yeah, like he put me on like to the episode that Glenn Beckett did called the Black Founding Fathers, which they had people had like historians come in there and give a lot of facts about it, like stuff you didn't know about the war, like how our people helped played a major part in the Revolutionary War.
Mm. Yeah. That goes deep.
I mean, I was like, yeah, I mean, I think they show one like where like when George Washington crossed Delaware, like they had a Moor in there to guide them across the river.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they probably still got it on YouTube, but you check it out. It is, yeah, they get pretty thorough with it. It's like everything they put in there, I went and looked it up just so like they ain't just making stuff up. And if I go and talk about somebody, like, yeah, I can say, yeah, this is actually facts, or it ain't.
Yeah, I feel you. I got a book actually showing that brother that was in the background. I just didn't get the brother's name myself. It don't show it in the book either of who he is.
Say what? You said which one in the background?
A brother with the more Fez head wrap in the background. He didn't state who he is. Because it was like one of those pictures, you know what I mean? Like it never gave a lot of information out when it was put
Are you
out.
talking about? Are you talking about the Delaware picture?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I know what it is. His name is Prince Whiffle.
Prince Wilford.
Prince Whiffle.
Wilford.
Whipple.
Okay.
Yeah, and like like the Battle of Bunker Hill, that was
Yep.
actually turned around by black man. You know, the one they showed the black man behind the white man. His name was Peter Salem, but he
Salim.
had he changed the war. He changed the tide of the war by like killing the commander of the of the regiment, the British regiment that was fighting.
Yeah.
And they won the battle through him. But yeah, I mean that was like a few brothers that like had like major roles in there.
It was always important to have them in our mission, but this is where the Panther really showed itself in a missional level. That's why. There's even an Asian joint. His name is Carl Scott. He did martial arts. It was during Bruce Lee's time frame, but they put it out there where he was in the roles of martial arts along with learning the Panther move and doing those moves. So it's like we're all connected. Malcolm X, the X again, 10, the structure. How do we get out of that Negro state and see a Moorish state of thought, and not only just a Moorish state, a Kemetic state of thought, you know what I mean? To a point where you see why it was called all of these names in the first place. Moors didn't even call themselves that. They just called themselves a chivalry, and somebody else called them a Moor. A Moor still love. You know what I mean? A Moor. You know what I mean? So a Moor.
I mean, people go with the version that mean black, and I'm like, that's one version of it, but it's really came from a Moor.
Right. So many, man. So many. I even saw a movie and saw how just the letter M, the M with the owl, and how that's connected to EM. And then the letter M being how origin of words start to become out of the letters. Not just, it was just words were made. They had origins to letters.
Okay. Yeah. Monique Hill's got a message up. She said, "They are not people, they are grafted." And I see a masonry word in there, drafted.
Yep.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Builder, he has to draft first what he's building. Draft it and then build it. Yeah. So they're drafted people. That have stolen, lied, raped, murdered, and brought filth among us. Most definitely.
I mean, this is where you get the tales. Rhesus monkey, the 42 embryos, the hunchback, the Igor.
Yeah, because there was a time in early America when they did when they had disabilities, right? There was a movie. They had to make a movie, and they made this movie. It had all kinds of people with deformities in it. Remember that old classic movie? Forgot what it was called. I should look it up. I found it. I watched it a long time ago.
Okay. Sound like Jekyll Island or what's that one place?
You talking about the island of Dr. Moreau?
Yeah. Yeah. People having mixed animal body, human kind. I was like, "Oh, this is wild!" Like, I wouldn't even thought. And then if you actually look at
30s or something like that.
If you look in today's time, they got actual animals with like half zebra, half tiger, have this, have that. I'm like, yo, somebody been doing some stuff, and it's still being done. So they just showing them as pictures as like they highlighting like they happy about. So if they happy about this, what they not happy about, and they hiding. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot, yo. It's like if you want to keep going, it's a rabbit hole. How far you want to go with it?
Exactly.
I seen they got tails. I was like, what? The tail is wagging. I was like, yo. And then all fours. So it's a lot that. Do we look at ourselves becoming better because we now know these things, or do we separate ourselves from these things, or do we
Yeah,
endeavor?
because they're here. They will devolve us. I did a video on devolving, where now a lot of our younger generations, when they reproduce with them, their babies are coming out a duplicate of a Caucasian.
Sad to say, yeah, right now this is the outcome because it happened before, which where albinoism came out of to be what it is to a point where the self-hatred to hatred for one another became the point of paling out ourselves.
Uh-huh.
And now it can happen all over again because again, where's the love as we were calling it before? Like love is left. So some things we left end up being right. And now there's no piece of paper to write it. Our love is not the way we used to call it anymore. The covenant has been broken. So now we have to put the covenant back together. So if we look at all these things, it's upsetting us, yes. Now what do we do? How do you fix your covenant?
Rising above. Rising above.
What's above?
I said rising above.
And then you got to think about who you making the covenant with.
Right. So
that's why I'm saying rising above says so much because you're not on that level.
But yet you walk on the same ground.
Yeah, but you might walk on the same ground, but don't mean you're on that level.
True. So hear me out. If you're on this ground, how do you walk on this ground?
Because you walk the same way that
go to the word that we were all using just earlier.
Spiritual beings.
We call it balance.
Walking beside us, and we don't know.
Sis, simplify it. We call it balance.
Okay.
That's all. Just balance. Mm-hmm. If you simplify yourself, whatever your magnitude of energy will show itself to. We as a people don't have to wait for our outcome. Our outcome will show itself. Right. That's why I said earlier, if it works for you, good. If it don't, pitch it. No, thank you, friend.
Right.
I rebuke thee.
Well, I don't want to hold y'all too long.
Well, it was longly hold. I appreciate the holding.
I know it's getting late.
There's no late. We're early.
Yeah, we are very early. But not in the morning, though.
Yeah, that's right.
Rising.
That's right. As the day can rise, so shall we.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate all the time y'all had. Gave time to more life in that respect. Moving forward with a movement is everything. So, eternal love, peace, and balance, and wholeness, respect.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate the conversation. And you say your birthday is on Sunday, ain't it?
Yeah, So they just,
10:30 to your sister.
well, Earth
Okay.
Day, yeah.
Yeah, Earth Day. Yeah, Earth Day. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, guess if you're not out partying too much, come stop by my channel. We'll stop make Mo be like, yeah, give you a shout out.
Yeah, just send me the email of your channel. I mean of your stream of the stream. Send us a link, and I'll try to send Eternal over a link so he can come on and come and see you.
All
But I missed you last time. I know I really wanted to be there, but I was out. I wasn't at home, so
Yeah. I think Kizzy came on, and then we were talking, and then I think during the talking, she had to help and inspire the next the topic that's going to be this Sunday. We were talking about the Georgia Guidestones.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
All right.
That sounds interesting.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what's up.
Yes. With that said, true love, real peace, and the higher self within the soul. Until next time, peace. And thank
Holding
you
y'all.
for showing up, and thank everyone in the chat. Monique Hill, Daryl Gals, Matt, Monica, Mo, Justice, DOD. Thank you, thank you. Until next time.
I do.
Okay, bye.
All right.